because a lot of us are kind of stuck indoors, and we're kind of wondering, like, well, how do we stay active and stay healthy and stay fit? So I invited my friend Tim Hayes, who's a personal trainer, and also the founder of the app Peach, which is a personal training app. So Tim, tell us a little bit about how you got into personal training and what inspired Peach.
Sure. So hi everyone. Thanks for coming on board. So I worked in the city up until 2005, and I was in corporate sales and got out and moved to Cape Town to kind of have a relook at my life and the direction that I wanted to take. I did my diploma in sports science in Cape Town, and then um, worked as a trainer for a couple of years, moved back to London, and then set up my own training company. And then at that point, just embarked on a never ending journey of ongoing education into exercise science and human movement. Um, and then I guess I started to get a name for myself in London, started working with celebrities and royalty and presidents' daughters and everyone in between. Um, and and actually burnt out around 2013 because I was kind of servicing all these people and not practicing what I preach. So I wound that business down 2013, retreated back to Cape Town in 2014, and took a year out just to kind of get some perspective again. And the reason why Peach came about is what I've observed in the last 15, 20 years, having been in the industry, is a huge growth and interest in health and wellness and fitness and movement. And what's come with that is a huge increase in education for fitness trainers, yoga instructors, nutritionists, etc. But unfortunately, the education has decreased rather than increased. So what I've observed is a huge amount of practitioners that are coming into the marketplace, very eager, very keen, really wanting to help people, but with a very poor level of education that sits behind them, and they're none the wiser. And actually, unless clients really do their digging, neither are the clients. Particularly with personal trainers, a client will walk into a gym, or they'll go on a website and they'll see, a beautiful man or woman with an amazing body saying that they're the best trainer in the world or the best yoga instructor in the world, and they look great and they sound motivational, but in terms of their level of knowledge and experience, that could be in question. So I wanted to create a company that connected clients to talent. And I also wanted to create a community and an education, an academy, and a think tank that began to support those trainers along their journey. Um, so really, I just want people to be happy. I want to rebrand what fitness and health is about and move away from this, um, this image-based fitness around, how do we look in the mirror, and if I look good in the mirror, therefore I'm happy, as opposed to looking at our internal environment, both from a nutritional element and a fitness element, and really working with people that have the knowledge and the experience to deliver those solutions and start to take clients on a journey that they perhaps haven't observed before. Similar to what you do, Rowan, really. I mean, I've had guys that have come on board to my platform, and there's actually a very stringent vetting process. And they tell me that they're a qualified nutritionist because they've done a 1 week course in nutrition. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm really sorry. It's great that you've started to look at that, but we can't market you as a qualified nutritionist. So we're very specific around their level of education and qualifications and knowledge. And even myself, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been working, with experts such as yourself for a long, long time. But I can get involved in the psychology and the mindset to a degree around implementing a healthy lifestyle. But when it comes to the biochemistry, well, I leave that to you guys. And in the same way, I'm sure how to do a lunge, but you probably pass someone over to me if you wanted it to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have to stay within our, sphere of competence, and as much as possible, work and defer to higher knowledge. So I love that, you said that you like having this sort of like collaborative team around you of different multidisciplinary team of people who are in that space, in that sort of health and well-being space, and knowing that you can kind of draw on them as and when you need them. But the people who are in your immediate kind of vicinity, like the trainers that you do work with, like how many of them have you got on board that you have personally vetted and are now part of your team?
So currently we've got around 35 that are live. I've got another 50 in a holding pattern.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a huge response from the training and the yoga community that want to come on board. But we have, or rather, I have very strict criteria right now as to who can come on board. So initially, it was a minimum of 5 years experience in their chosen field. We have opened that up to 2 years minimum because there are some exceptions to the rule. But I would say out of our current team, there's only 2 with less than 10 years experience in their chosen field. So yeah, we've got a guy that specializes in neuropsychology and pain science. He works with kids and adults with cerebral palsy and gets them moving again.
Oh, amazing.
Three of him in the world. We have shamanic breathwork specialists. We have some of the most talented yoga instructors out there, both in terms of their experience and their knowledge across many different methods of yoga. And what I try to do when these guys come on board is say, what is it that you do? What is your speciality? And I think a lot of fitness and wellness practitioners are a bit scared to say, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at, as opposed to kind of taking everyone on board. So, I specialize in human movement, predominantly body weight training, and really looking at the way that the body moves and how to execute movement on a very granular level. And I can do strength and conditioning, and I can, teach someone how to lift heavy weights, and I've done a coaching course. But if someone wants to do that, I know someone that's really good, and they do that day in, day out, and you go work with them because that's what they do. That's what they do best. So that's really, part of Peach, and the consultation process, either directly with me or through one of my team, is to really understand from our client's perspective where they are, where they've been, what's worked, what hasn't, where do they want to go to, and why do they want to get there. And then from there, we can start to match them with the people that, both from a geographical level and a skill level and a personality level that meets their needs as importantly as possible.
That's amazing. So I didn't realize that, you were working with some very interesting groups, because one of my first questions to you, apart from like, obviously, what was your story, what got you here? But it was sort of like, well, who are the communities that you serve? Like, what's your demographic? Who are the people you look after? I was sort of under the impression that you were looking after like, corporate high flyers and people who are really busy and they have to like cram in getting a personal trainer into their day. But you're working in rehab from the sounds of it, like, really specific kind of groups. That guy with the cerebral, working with a very specialist group, cerebral palsy. That's quite interesting. Do you have any other cases like that, like where you work with other people in that space, or any other special groups that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a few trainers who are very knowledgeable in functional biomechanics, which is the science behind human movement. And so what they're able to do is look at the way that individual body is behaving, and then start to get them moving and thinking in a slightly different way. There's a lot of current research out now around pain and pain science. I rehab or have rehabbed a lot of. I actually work with. I'm predominantly based in Cape Town, so I work quite a lot with surfers here. Who kind of, they grow up very elastic and bendy, and then, once they kind of hit their 20s and they're now turning into pro surfers, their bodies are taking a bit of a battering, and so the way that they move on the board needs to be analysed and adapted according to how they move. So you know, for me, I think personal training is often seen as a luxury product, and yes, there is a cost associated with it. But as humans, we're quite funny because, you know, if there's something wrong with our car, we'll go and fix it, right? And we'll take it to a specialist. You know, we won't just take it to someone down the road that's got a spanner and claims to be a mechanic, or our fridge breaks, and you know, so we invest in things like that. And I think for me, and again, this is a clear message that I want to put out into the market with Peach is, you know, fitness has a limit, and yes, everyone should move, but there are times when people need to work with personal trainers, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to work with a trainer to get them to a specific result. You know, the body image, the before and after, which is really what fitness has become about. What I do with my clients and what I teach my team to do is actually start to work and teach our clients and educate our clients on how to do things so that they don't need us. They can go off and you know, do things properly on their own, and they start to understand how to move and how to breathe and how to feel when they're exercising. So you know, I think that's, you know, again, a clear shift. And so what that means is, you know, we have students working with us, we have CEOs, entrepreneurs, executives, mums, dads, you know, and then right through to, you know, professional athletes, and then special populations like your cerebral palsy. So it's really you know, anyone that actually wants to take a look at, you know, where they're at and why things aren't working or how they can improve things, then that's what we do.
That's pretty cool. We've got a couple people on the who've joined the live. Like I've got my phone on the side here, so I can see that there are a few people. So I'm just going to say hi to them. I'm going to say hi to Nick, hi to Lindsay, and hi to Carlos. And they're all in different parts of the world. Carlos is in Amsterdam, Lindsay's in the UK, Nick is in Trinidad. So we got a really global so far. So far, those are the people who have jumped on, and it's really nice to see them all here. So hey guys, if you have any questions, please pop them into the comment section because I can see them. And I can feel them over to Tim. So Tim, in terms of people who are globally based, let's say, or people who need a digital, and right now everything's sort of moving into that digital space, you have this app, right? Obviously, it didn't start off, you know, in the way that things are moving now. Like you wanted people to be able to find their trainers via the app. But how is the app evolving to the point where it can now serve people remotely? Is there any plan to do that?
Yeah, so you know, initially when we launched, it was London, and London is our flagship. I do have a network of trainers globally. We haven't activated them on the app right now, but you know what's been interesting, particularly with what's going on in the world at the moment, is, you know, particularly in London, we now have clients that are working remotely with their trainers, so they're running Skype sessions. I've got you know, as I was saying to you earlier, we are where we are in our life. You know, we there's a misconception that you kind of have to have this plain sailing 3-month period before you start working with a personal trainer and this perfect, you know, I get clients coming to me and they're saying, you know, I'm going on holiday and then I've got some friends visiting, and you know, when that's over, I'll start working with you. And I'm like, but this is your life. Friends pop up, things pop up, you know.
Holidays don't stop, well, apart from right now, but in general, like these are all part of the, you know, how do you navigate through all the normal things in your life? It's not like going on a 3-month retreat and then you've got to stick to a program for 3 months. Like that's got,
I mean, this is our life, and really, you know, we should.
Oh, we just lost Tim. Where did Tim go? Can you guys still see me? I'm hoping you can. Well, that was pretty weird. We lost you, Tim. Everything just kind of dropped for a second there. Are you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, totally hearing you. There are three of me or two of me. I'm
There's
not
two
sure
of me.
why.
There we
I'm
go.
not sure why.
I don't know what happened there.
Everything kind of stopped. It was pretty strange. I told someone today, I said, if the internet went down, that really would be the end of the world.
Yeah, that would. That would. Yeah. So what I was saying is that we need to practice the principles of wellness and and spirituality and nutrition in all areas of our lives most of the time, right? Not for a 3-month period. If we're going to stay fit and we're going to stay healthy, then there are certain principles that we need to adhere to every day, most of the time. For us to stay, in good shape. And when I mean in good shape, I don't mean having a six-pack in the mirror. If you want that, that's fine. But that's really a byproduct of taking care of yourself on a day-to-day basis. And it's kind of been interesting. I've been getting a lot of calls and requests at the moment with everything that's going on in the world with the coronavirus, and we need to adapt, right? We need to adapt, and people are self-isolating. I've been self-isolating now for just over a week because I was in contact with a client that had it. I don't have it, or if I do, the medicine that you prescribed me is amazing, and I'm not feeling the effects. But and so we have to get on with things. I think that people are still kind of waiting. Will things get better in a month or two? Maybe not. Even I've had some clients saying, well, yeah, let's maybe not do some Skypes now, but maybe next week. And I'm like, but it's this week now, and you need to move. And yes, that does mean that they're not getting the same level of service as if I was there in front of them. But we need to adapt and change. It's like when people go away on holiday. Of course, you're not going to train as much as you would perhaps when you were in your regular routine, but some movement of some sort, is part of the process. This kind of all or nothing approach. I have to do this. It has to be structured all the time. That's just not the way life goes. And if hopefully one thing good that will come out of this coronavirus is that it's funny, every winter people start drinking their ginger shots and having their green juices, and they do it for a few months, and they buy some vitamin C tablets when they got a cold, which is a little bit late in the day, but and they start taking care of themselves because they're feeling a bit sick. Well, you need to start doing that like all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of the time. So I had a chat with our team today in London, and I do my job because I want to be of service to people. I just want people to be happy and fit, right? And so we're going to be opening up some Zoom group exercise classes for people, and we're actually going to say there's going to be a donation option on there. If people want to donate 50 cents or 50p or or £1 or 20 or nothing, whatever works for them, they can. It's not obligation. It's there's no obligation. And we're going to be running. I have Kate, one of our yoga instructors. She does shamanic breath work. So she's going to be running a shamanic breath work class.
That's amazing.
I'm going to be teaching, someone here and just kind of talking about the importance of movement, and because people need to keep moving.
Absolutely. It can be very, very easy to, when you're sitting at home and you've got a desk-bound job and you're now trapped indoors, to just sort of like sit here the whole time. And I just want to shout out to what Nick is saying on the chat. He's saying that everything that you put in your body or do with your body is either strengthening it or weakening it. And he says that's what he lives by. So exactly what you're saying, like, whatever we're doing, it's a lifestyle choice at the end of the day. And yes, there is an 80-20 rule. That's kind of the rule that I apply. Like, 80% of the time, you're taking really, really good care of yourself. The other 20%, you might have the chocolate cake or a couple glasses of red wine, not bottles, glasses. But at the end of the day, everything you're doing is either nurturing you, or it's either like, anabolic or catabolic, right? Like it's either building you up or breaking you down, and that's how you got to think about it. And exercise is one of those things that they said that the people who live longest in the world, who have higher life expectancies, they are the people who sort of do 30 minutes 3 times a week of very moderate, not vigorous exercise, like moderate walking. That reduces their risk of things like diabetes and dementia and Alzheimer's by, I think with diabetes it's by 50%, and cognitive decline it's by 60%, just by doing 3 times a week, very moderate, not vigorous, not high intensity, not 6-pack exercise. You know what I mean? It's not Ironman type work. It's just getting more movement built in. So now that we're at home, what are your sort of like 3 top tips? Because we're coming up to time, so we've got a couple minutes left. What do you want to leave everybody with in terms of stuff that they can do to take care of themselves over the next, I don't know how long it is, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, who knows? But what can we do in that time to take care of ourselves?
Well, I definitely think moving every day is important, and I like that 30 minutes 3 times a week. But at some point in the day, whether it's in the morning or whatever, you're most interested, get down, do some stretches, lengthen the back, lengthen the spine, and
As you say that, I sat straight up because I was doing this. I'm like, okay.
When I tell people I'm a personal trainer, particularly guys, they're like, "Oh, really? You're a trainer?"
That's hilarious.
And then obviously, people live in flats, people have houses. If you've got a garden, that's great. Get outside, get some fresh air. I don't like prescribing exercises to people that I don't know what they've done, but if they have been exercising, they've got some favorite exercises, do them. Do some squats, do some lunges, do some push-ups. If you can't do a push-up, well, there's an opportunity. You're going to be inside for a while. Maybe start, and I'm going to be. That's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be talking about when we start doing our lives. Is certain exercises that perhaps you'd like to do but you don't know how to do. There's a ton of information on, online, on YouTube, and 10 minutes, 30 minutes a day. Start moving and really start focusing on breath and connection, and start thinking. What I always talk is, when you're doing an exercise and a movement, whether it's a squat or a lunge, and I kind of don't like those exercises, but I'll talk about that another time.
Does anyone like squats or lunges?
Yeah, but the reason why people don't really like them is because they don't really do what they're designed to do for that person, because it's a generic exercise. So I get people to think about, why are you doing the exercise? What's the purpose of that exercise? Do you feel it in that way when you're doing that exercise? So I think actually now is a really nice time for people to kind of go back to basics, start observing how they move, how they feel, how they breathe when they're exercising. And that would be my advice. Is that specific enough?
I think that's pretty good. Moving every day, not just waiting for 3 times a week. I think, movement at the start of the day. I think from my perspective, I like to get people to stretch before bed, because it also helps the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. So I try to encourage them not to do, like, don't go for a run at 6 p.m. or a high intensity workout. It's just kind of like, start working with that cortisol curve, like where it's coming down. You want to boost melatonin in the evening, and the best way to do that is to kind of stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system and get into that rest and digest state in the evening. And doing nice gentle stretches before bed, I think, is a really good way. I like doing a child's pose, because I like breathing into like my ribs, because I do sit a lot throughout the day. Even if I get up and move around, I still feel like a lot of like these side muscles, my intercostals, they get compressed from sitting. So one of the things I like to do is to do like, you know, a child's pose and then just sort of like breathe into the side muscles and then do different stretches around that. So I don't know how you feel about those, but for me, for people who are desk bound and who sit a lot and have lower back issues as well, that's a nice one to kind of release, you know, your QL and all that kind of, all those fun things. And I have a lot of back issues, guys. Like I broke my spine in 2010. I had scoliosis. So I've always been conscious of like, what do I do to kind of maintain mobility and strength and minimize pain? Because pain, you know, has or was a regular part of my life for a little while. I had like a whole year where I couldn't really move until I started doing some Pilates and that kind of stuff to get me back. Rehabilitative Pilates. I was in love with it, actually. Like I was like, oh, maybe I needed to break my back so I could fall in love with Pilates.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes these things come to teach us stuff. So like your burnout episode, that was a lesson for you to kind of push you in a different direction and toward your life's work, right? Like this is what you think you're doing what you're meant to do, right?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
Okay, awesome. So just as we're getting ready to say goodbye to people, because it's late where you are, because Tim's in South Africa, but his team is in the UK. They are doing group sessions. How do people find you? Do they just visit the website? Is there a link is there anything that they can do to connect with you?
Yeah, so if you go to getpeach.com, go to contact us, there's a contact form there. Alternatively, if you want to get in touch with me directly, you can just drop me an email, which is tim@getpeach.com.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've totally loved having you here. I think we should do it again, probably in a week after you get your lives up and going, so we can get people doing that. And do you have any parting words to everybody?
Keep things in the day. Keep things simple. Move. Focus on the things that make you happy.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's really excellent advice. Just do what you like. Don't do things that you hate. Yeah. All right. Well, have a great evening. And I hope that, you know, people reach out to you and they get in touch and they start signing up to do some of these exercises that you're going to be. I love that idea as well, where they just donate what they can. That's brilliant during this very strange time where mortgages are being frozen. And also, it's, you know, cash flow is a kind of an issue for people right now because some people can't work, you know. So kudos to you for making this service available to people.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care and
thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Stay well. Okay, Tim, and stay well, everybody. Stay safe. See you in a week. Bye.
Bye.